Yo, what's going on? Let me just share the stream. I didn't share it last time, so I want to share it this time. We'll share it on there, let's share on X. Okay, what's going on, everybody? Andy's Crypto Talk here. As always, check out the links in the description. Like, sub, comment, all that fun stuff. Not financial advice, and we're just talking to talk. Oh, let me just close some of these tabs. A few too many tabs there. So we just saw this come out. Love the genius of announcing a strategic reserve on Sunday when traditional markets are closed, Wall Street sleeps. For the first time, retail investors win. Traditional finance better catch up, or it will quickly become extinct. World no longer runs on Monday to Friday 9 to 5. So we had today Donald J. Trump, the DJT. I think it was on Truth Social, he posted out this post about the US crypto reserve and that it's going to include XRP, Solana, ADA. And then later, an hour later, he did tweet or post again that obviously BTC and ETH as other valuable cryptocurrencies. So the 5 tokens coming out, right? And so, yeah, I mean, things got bullish, right? So let's take a look at the charts. Right, so here we are on the charts. And you saw my stream was... And we talked about this a few days ago, I think. Just about this being a major hammer. Dragonfly Doji. I mean, if we shrink it a little, it looks like a Doji for sure. And see, even on the 3-day, it looks like a big hammer, right? So, yeah, hammers don't usually have too much wick on the top side. But they can have a little bit. And so people could say, like, it was the news. People could say it was already in the chart. It could be this bounce off the 200. That's the EMA, I think. Oh, that's the SMA. Smooth moving average. 200-day. And you can see when it closes underneath this, it kind of has a harder time, which it hasn't done yet, so we are happy about that. But basically this bounce we had from, earlier today, about 8.88% on the 10-hour. That's a crazy number. That's a crazy number. But yeah, like, it was a big move. And it moved a lot of other stuff that was announced really big as well. Like we'll take a look at Solana here. Major bounce. Let's see, which chart were we looking on last? That's the last chart we were looking at, actually. So Solana actually looks better because it broke this downtrend and it's about to break above 180. I think I was actually talking about this. Above 173, it would look a lot better. So we are in that region. Hopefully it continues pushing up here. You know, we're underneath that 200 daily on Solana. So in a way it looks better, and in a more long-term way it looks a little worse. But I think if we can poke back above this long-term trend line, it'll continue on up, and we'll see this move out of it up into sort of the 350s. I mean, it pumped really nicely on all of its pairs as well. Sol Dominance, Sol BTC, Sol ETH. Sol ETH the best. Like, look at that. Huge. It almost reclaimed that whole entire thing. And it looks really good out of that trend line. So Ethereum did pop up as well. I don't think, yeah, ETH BTC is not doing good still. And ETH popped up. It got, you know, to about 2,500, but it doesn't look as good as something like Solana. Like, you look at that, and then you look at that Solana chart definitely looks better. But yeah, XRP was a huge winner as well. So extend this out. And we can see it looks, you know, more like Solana in the sense that it's broken out of this trend. We want to see that maintain. Funny enough that we have this $2.76 sort of resistance point here that it's flipped. Looks like support now. And ADA was another big winner. I think ADA was the biggest winner when it comes to that single candle, 72%. And volume wise, like, I mean, that's insane. That is insane. So I think the whole market did do really well off of this news. Some better than others. And of course we saw BTC dominance taking a bit of a hit as well. So we'll go down to a bit lower time frame so you can kind of see the action. But yeah, it dumped under this trend line, down to 60% under the trend line there. That trend line I have, it's just bouncing on it. Technically, if we were talking like the right way to draw this in my books is like this. Now that we've created a new low here. So we want to see this break back down, and that would lead us to believe there is some alt season in the books. We'll check out those actually real quick. Alt season index down to 22. Wow. So it's Bitcoin season right now. So we could see Bitcoin kind of take off on its own for a little bit before sort of a rebound. But some alts can still do better. Remember that. That doesn't necessarily mean anything. So 33 on the fear and greed. Okay. This massive dump in the USDT dominance. You know, 10% loss in that dominance, which is like, it's pushing us back to this sort of resistance support line at 4.53, and I want to see it lose that. Once I see it lose that, I'll know we're really going to be bullish. Something to keep an eye on, of course, because we had this massive plummet in stocks, is that stocks actually opened up pretty good, I think. Yeah. So this was the open on stocks. Like, this was Friday, it rallied up, but then it opened and gapped up. So it opened bullish. Likely, it filled that gap, and now it's likely to continue bullish in my books. And I think we're gonna see it make up a lot of this, these losses, probably throughout the beginning of the week. I know there's some important news coming up this week as well. Frick. I cannot type for the life of me. ISM. The PMI tomorrow. Well, what happened there? Wednesday. ADP non-farm employment change. ISM PMI. Wasn't that? Oh, the manufacturing PMI is tomorrow. Oh my god, why can't I press the right buttons? And then we have the services PMI on Wednesday. Unemployment claims, this is going to be important as well, on Thursday. And Friday, non-farm employment change. So yeah, I mean... Oh, and Chair Powell is going to be on the mic on Friday. This could... I mean... Do I bury it and say big week? Or what? Big week bury? So yeah, I mean, if things come out really nice, this could just soar right back up. Of course, we could see some volatility, something like this, just to kind of soar back up there. It would look kind of like this, I would imagine. Just leave that projection there and see how it plays out. I don't think the ticker I have for NAS is open, so... Oh, maybe I do. Yeah, it gapped up too. Yes, 30 gapped up. Just want to watch out for the VIX tomorrow, and because it is fairly high, right? Like, it looks like on Friday it started dumping though. Bounced off this, danger line 1928. Hopefully we open up and just starts plummeting. But, volatility could remain high and we could still get some major price swings in our favored directions. I heard that MSTR and a bunch of these tokens, Hood and stuff like that, are actually rallying big time right now after markets. I don't know how to find one. MSTR's on Pith? That's kind of weird. I don't know which, I don't know how to get it going to see after hours. I'll have to figure that out. Yeah, so I think that kind of covers the general market, majors, things like that. I do want to talk about Citadail. As always, we're going to talk about Citadail. What are we looking at here? Let me get rid of the... Actually, I do want to talk about that, the Bollinger Bands. Because I talked about the Bollinger Bands. I didn't actually... I was going to live stream last night, but I didn't. So I just kind of posted my ideas about the market in the group chat. I think some of the stuff I said in my Telegram, and some of the stuff I said in the Citadel Telegram. But I did take a picture of this sort of epic squeeze that we're seeing in the daily Bollinger Bands. See this tightening of the bands will lead to one of these, you know, explosive band action, where price will swing one way or the other. And you know, I think we can kind of see now which decision it's made. Regardless of the rest of the market, I know that something with this low of a market cap and liquidity, it's going to have an easy time moving price upwards. So I don't think that's a big concern, and that's part of what I want to segue into to kind of talk about. I'll kind of zoom in right here to you know, what we're looking at is the liquidity volume ratio, liquidity to FDV ratio, and the volume to how much money, like how many buys to sells, pushed price up from where it started today, down here, you know, 1.79 mil it was trading at in the daily candle, and then popping up, you know, 60% up till the 2.9 mil that it's at right now. It only took it in the past 24 hours 300k in volume, but the interesting fact about that is that it only took an extra 33k on top in the buy volume on top of the sell volume, right? So here's the example, right? There's 1,000 buyers, 900 sellers. There was, you know, net 150 buys over sells, and of that buy volume, only about 33k of it was excess. So 5% extra buy volume, right, moved price that high. 60%. That's crazy. So that's something to consider with these sort of tokens. Let me put on another. These tokens that are much smaller market caps will be moved much easier. So it's just really the point I wanted to make, that it only took that much, which is kind of crazy, considering the things that we've kind of talked about coming through the pipeline, things that, you know, aren't confirmed, but we've had sort of hints towards their potential happening. You know, hints towards an app coming out, hints towards the OTC platform coming out, hints towards Cordell going live and beginning to trade and manage the assets live, and all of these things happening in a time, like, sort of they have a hand of really good cards ready to play, while again we're seeing this epic squeeze happen on the daily Bollinger Bands. What's interesting is if we drop that down, so going to the 12-hour bands, we can see kind of what I was talking about, this final squeeze, and now it's starting to open up and expand, meaning the volatility, or, you know, the increase of volatility is happening. So yeah, dropping it down even further, I think, to the 8-hour gives you an even better sort of view on this happening, right? That very tight squeeze. And then, you know, it looked like it made a decision right here. It sprung up after it had squeezed down, retesting this middle line, but never really losing it, and then popping up So you can use these pretty well. You can see it hit the bottom of the Bollinger Bands here, back here on the 18th of February, and it did not retest the bottom of the Bollinger Bands. It didn't touch them. It came close, but it didn't touch them. So now I think we see the opposite of this, kind of grinding and smacking down on the bottom of the Bollinger Bands over and over and over. And I think we reverse it and start to do something like this. Something like what we've seen in the beginning, where you can see once it starts to push up and hold above this middle line and not come back and touch the bottom of the Bollinger Bands, it keeps being bullish. Sorry guys. So yeah, I think we see some form of price action like this where it pushes up against the Bollinger Band. We're just seeing the starting of this kind of now. And then we'll see, you know, continued price action to the upside against the Bollinger Band as it opens it and spreads it out. It's going to increase the volume coming in. And we can see like the hints of a beginning of volume coming back in strongly for what we've seen in the past weeks, right? Even pretty much past month almost. Since it dropped off here, I think this was the last significant pump we had when that the Mario Nawfal sort of news thing came out, and we had this significant pump. But since then, we've kind of just been down, right? So under this sort of area, I think once we break above this area on volume, you know, I think it's 300k, it looks like, about 300k. Yeah, we want to see it break above 300k in volume and start printing higher and higher on the volume candles. And that'll signify a lot of intentions coming back and that this price is going to get ballistic at some point. I know I had a few oscillators on my other chart that were really interesting to take a look at. Like the MACD is interesting, and the Awesome oscillator, and RSI. So this is on the 8 hour that we can see that it's beginning to make that sign of a flip on the MACD, where the trend lines are finally pushing above the bearish, where if they're underneath the 50% line, essentially they're in the bearish territories or negative territories. And now we're just starting to go positive with these. Same thing with the Awesome oscillator. It's now gone into the bullish territories, and it's, you know, it's trended down on its lows. Yeah, it trended down on every low, and now we're going to start making highs and higher high and higher and higher, and just keep doing that essentially, right? A really big spike on the RSI. We could see a retest on the 50 to 60 for the RSI. You know, retest these highs potentially, and then pop up again, like we've seen in the past here. This is when it was bullish, you know, spiked up, retest, spike up again, retest, spike up, retest, spike up. So, you know, maybe 5 drives like that again, we might see a major push. And that's one thing I wanted to talk about, is this time-based Fibonacci that I've drawn on here from the high to the low. And this was like the low, the wick. I put it to the low wick, right to the lowest price that price traded to, essentially. And we can see the projection out, you know, the projection out of line 2 is 10th of April. Line 3 is 26th of May. And I think this is kind of like the 1-to-1 sort of ratios. It's like 1, 2, 3, 5, 8. Right? So it's doing the Fibonacci ratios. So these could be significant events to look forward to in price. Again, our target's still based up there. Actually, I shouldn't have done that. Let's keep that because I wanted to look at the daily, the 12-hour and the daily real quick on these. Yeah, so oh wow, they're looking really good actually. The daily is the only one we gotta really work on a little bit. Although the daily's looking good on the MACD in the elevation of these trend lines, like they're really starting to send. The awesome oscillator is about to flip, and you know we've almost broken the middle. Again, this is a bullish bearish sort of scenario when it comes to RSI, so almost broke the bull line into bullish territory on the daily. So we want to see this trend continue, but it's looking really constructive. Really constructive. And see, that's why it looks like we're kind of maybe stalling, is, you know, our RSA just cooked right out of there on the 4-hour. It's at 75. And these both popping up straight up out of there. But it could continue if we start seeing even more bullish news inside the crypto markets, and we start having bullish news drop inside, like parts of this ecosystem really start popping off, as well as we could see Griffain start to move pretty well. I think if we see all those things kind of conjoin, we could see some massive gains from Citadail in the coming weeks, months. So yeah, important places to note would be this 10th of April, 27th of May, and then moving further in kind of August and January. Those are maybe important points of note. These don't necessarily have to mean anything. And to be fair, there is a chance that we could also measure off this to get some form of hypothesis from the high to the high. And look at that. That's really actually quite interesting. That's a low. You know, it's pretty close. First low to hitting kind of near the second low. So, you know, potentially saying, okay, so that's your down cycle. Now it's going to start turning around and make its way up here to maybe reach back up to this all-time high by around April 16th. And then June 29th to maybe target the new highs. So I know I was drawing this last time, how it's kind of rounding. All-time highs. Could go to 220. I mean, it could go to 220. Oops. By like the end of this. I wish I could just erase that. I can't just erase that. There's no eraser, is there? No, there's no eraser. That trajectory sort of to potentially make it to 220, but at least within this area here. That's our projection box. Target. Targeting it, you know, I'm considering, I think around the 140 mil would be a pretty solid price target for the next few months. This could happen faster. We've seen tokens run to this much faster. But yeah, that's the way I'm looking at it. Let's actually draw this box out, and then we kind of just have our targets on, you know, based off the using this fib time. Now look, I mean, things could go wrong and things could go bad, and this doesn't necessarily have to be set in stone. And look at this, this actually projects out even further to October. Interesting. So who knows, like maybe if it goes sideways for much longer and things are not bullish right away here. Oh God, what just happened? If things don't go bullish right away here, you know, maybe we see this take a little bit longer to sort of play out, to sort of crawl up to all-time highs, or, you know, kind of swing up there, and then maybe retest, maybe make a big cup and handle retest sort of in June. Maybe that's when things start to really pump off into, you know, kind of the October 31st. Like October 31st is always a crazy bullish time for crypto as well. So but maybe this projection is like, you know, fairly similar to what I was drawing out, where it just kind of continues curling up into this sort of box range, then it makes its way back down, you know, to kind of retest previous all-time highs before it makes that last rip in the fall there in October. I wonder what that would look like. It's tough to project because we're just kind of guessing how far it's going to go. But let's just say like this was the low. I'll try to get fairly close, 1.5 mil, about that. I'll go right to our line here. It's tough to say. Let's just go to 100 mil, kind of round it out, and say it comes back to previous all-time highs. Maybe a little lower. Maybe it'll dip down to 45, and see kind of where that could take us. So that could take us to between, you know, the 140 to 460 mil range for the next leg. Again, this could change depending how far we dip. Say 25 mil, you know, say it goes up to this area, right up to the tippy top, you know, then we could be looking upwards in the 600. Maybe it doesn't go quite as strong, maybe like halfway through there, but it, you know, dips maybe much further, down to like 20 mil or something. You know, all of these projections, again, it could go lower than 90 to sort of 320 sort of mil, but that's assuming the top is right around 70 mil, right? So just some fun with projections, but I wouldn't get too caught up in them, because again, these things can go really crazy. A project like this, if the things that they're, you know, projecting to have come to fruition, plus the, you know, sort of hints that they've been making, if these all sort of play out really well, this thing could really go bananas. One more thing to show you guys was this, how the volume was all down here, right? So this is going to be a little bit tougher to get through, until, I was saying this in the chat too, until about 6.3 mil. is where my guess is that this thing's gonna really just rocket up. Maybe have a little bit of resistances between 8 and 16 mil, but not much. Compared to what it went through down here, it should escalate much quicker through those highs, because we see that there, not a lot of volume traded through there. So I don't think there's a lot of people stuck in price because of the strength of the move down, and they had opportunities to get out. But I think people that were wanting to get out got out at these lows, unfortunately, and maybe some of them are waiting to get back in. So personally, again, I think above this sort of 6.3 level is where I'm saying it'll be really starting to move. Obviously much clearer sort of skies between 7.2 and 7.7. This would be clearer skies for sure. But I think finally what we got here in this lower section, I did draw this out as well. I think it was on the 4. Might have been on the 4 or something like that, 4-hour time frame. That this triangle started forming. Let me get rid of these Bollinger Bands. They're a little bit noisy. So this triangle, and I showed that potentially a breakdown and bounce off this lower yellow line 1.3. Otherwise we would break up, have a little bit of resistance around this area, sort of just a little bit of volatility before it moves up into this between 4 to 7 mil area. This is sort of the next area. And that's actually where if we look for this lower price action, since sort of there, 4.2 is the point of control. If we look at it from the top, point of control is up here at 15.99. So that's kind of a part of price that we really want to push through. It'll be these box ranges as we make our way up. These are all stopping points potentially, or points where price could go much more volatile. Big shout out Sony 23K and Sui. Sony 23K, I haven't heard of that one. Is it on Dex? I don't know what Sony 23K is. Sonium? This looks like one of those fake frickin' bot things. Gross. Sui is, I think, pretty good though. Let's see. I've got it somewhere. We used to chart this more before it fell out of line. Yeah, see, we projected that push up to $5.30. But it broke underneath this, and it doesn't look that good, to be honest. Oh, that's okay. On the daily, it's bouncing on the 200 just like Bitcoin, kind of. So I would look for this thing to sort of make its way. You want to see this thing kind of make its way back up here before it moves on. Otherwise, it could reject around there as well. So that's kind of what I would look for with Sui, kind of this rounding out. Again, as long as everything continues as it should, because this breakdown was... It was just unexpected. Look at this. I was projecting here for inverted head and shoulders in continuation. But that didn't happen, so we just have to reanalyze the charts here. Go away, brush thing. So now we're looking at this to rotate. Right, just looking for this to rotate and get back above this line so we can make this projection play out. Move on to the 5 to 10 drill, right? Anyways, guys, I'm gonna peace out for the night. 40 minutes of chatting. Bye, Citadel. And we'll catch you guys in the next